Fuck you, boss. If you can hear a really high-pitched ringing sound, please ignore it. I can't get rid of it and it's really annoying. But nevertheless, today we're going to be going through the link reaction taking place between the step of pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A in aerobic respiration. It's pretty simple. It's mainly one reaction with an enzyme in the middle, it's a complex. It's called the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex and it consists of 3 enzymes, E1, E2 and E3. There are also 5 prosthetic groups because it's a quaternary protein, and quaternary proteins can have the action of non-protein components. These components might take place in the reaction directly, or they may just provide structure or have some other job. But whether they're involved directly or not, we do know that prosthetic groups are usually pretty essential for an enzyme to function. The bit I'm focusing on the computer is the fact that 3 of these 5 prosthetic groups require B vitamins. Importantly, vitamin B1, B2 and B3. So if you want to know why you have to eat them, carry on watching. Right, so starting with a quick recap of glycolysis. We know we start with glucose, which we get from eating carbs, and that is a 6-carbon molecule, as it is C6H12O6. This glucose is then split into 2 molecules of pyruvate. There is no other product that contains carbon anyway, the rest are just side products, which means that each molecule of pyruvate has 3 carbons. So, going into the link reaction, we're going to be starting with our molecule of pyruvate, 3 carbon. That's going to react with a molecule of coenzyme A. There will also be some oxygen involved, so pop some O2 in there. And another molecule of NAD being our proton carrier. These will react and pyruvate will acylate the coenzyme A to produce acetyl coenzyme A. When we draw this out though, we can see that acetyl coenzyme A only has 2 carbons here and here. So because it's 2 carbon, we know that it has lost one somewhere, and that is as CO2 taking into account our oxygen here. Lastly, our NAD is reduced to form NADH, or reduced NAD. Reduction is gain. The hydrogen that has an electron, that was a positive charge, now it's neutral, it's been sorted out, so that makes it reduced NADH. Now, this process uses an enzyme called the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. I say it's an enzyme, but it's actually a full complex using 3 enzymes and 5 prosthetic groups. That's kind of what makes it up. So the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, as we know from the intro, consists of 3 enzymes, E1, E2 and E3. Nice, simple, easy to remember. It also consists of its 5 prosthetic groups. Now, what we know is quaternary proteins are not just protein groups. They can have the interaction of these prosthetic groups, which are non-protein. These can take place in a complex directly by acting as enzymes or being essential for structure, but either way you tend to need all the prosthetic groups intact whether they take place or not in order for the enzyme to function. So our first one we're going to be thinking about is thiamine, draw a little dot, pyrophosphate. This is shortened to TPP, also helping you to remember it because thiamine pyrophosphate has 2 phosphates attached to the thiamine, TPP, 2 phosphates, 2 Ps. Now, first bit may look familiar. Thiamine. This is vitamin B1. Swiftly moving on to our second group, we have flavin, adenine, dinucleotide. This is shortened to FAD. You may notice the flavin bit also sounds familiar, as that comes from riboflavin, vitamin B2.
Thirdly, we have nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. You'll see it's quite familiar because it looks the same as one above. They both essentially have the same job. They are proton carriers. So that is our NAD. Nicotinamide and nicotinic acid both are vitamin B3, and there's our importance of our B vitamins. The other two protected groups, one of them is coenzyme A. I'm not going to write out coenzyme A because we should all know that ACoA means coenzyme A. And we also have a fatty acid called lipoic acid, or lipoate, depending on whether or not it's been dissociated and formed into a carboxylate. So there are our 5 prosthetic groups. And here are our B vitamins. Now, this is why it's important to eat your vitamins, because if you don't eat enough B1, B2, and B3, most commonly people refer to a thiamine deficiency causing these problems, you can get issues such as beriberi or Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, which basically means that this enzyme isn't able to function properly, and that can cause neural problems and motor problems. That means your neurons aren't able to function properly, you're not able to function properly, you can, cause shaking and, loss of use of the hands. They're all motor issues. But in Korsakoff syndrome, there is also a psychosis. It's called Korsakoff psychosis, where you get confusion, memory loss, derailment, and that's quite common in alcoholics. Now, in Western culture, we don't tend to have many vitamin deficiencies, or well, not B vitamin deficiencies anyway, but they're more regarded as primary deficiencies, as in the B vitamins that we're eating. In alcoholics, what happens is there's a malabsorption issue of the B vitamins. So whether you eat enough of them or not, your body loses the ability to absorb them and retain them, which means you're going to have the same issues as if you didn't eat them in the first place. I'm not saying that if you're an alcoholic to stop eating veg, because there's no point. Still keep eating good. See a psychologist and a doctor and try and get some help if you are an alcoholic. But on a brighter note, the B vitamins are pretty important. It's important to get your fruit and veg in and supplement if you feel you're going to have a deficiency, and see a doctor if you do feel you have a deficiency. But a lot of these are reversible. Korsakoff syndrome is usually irreversible if it gets quite late. You have to catch Wernicke syndrome, which comes first a bit earlier on. But anyway, there's our PDH complex. This acetyl coenzyme A will then go into the Krebs cycle, and this will repeat. If you found the video interesting, useful, helpful, make sure to leave a thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe. It will really help out, and I will see you in the next video.